Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the XPEL podcast at NADA. I'm Steve Janice. I am joined with Eric Hessinger, who's the president of the Bobby Rahal Automotive Group in Pittsburgh, and Mike Mayall, who's the vice president of corporate development for XPEL. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So this will be fun. Mike, I'm going to start with you, though.
Yeah.
How do you guys know each other?
Long story. Let me jump into it. So several years ago, we were at an IndyCar race event, and I went and sat down with Graham and Bobby and Tom Knox, and I think there were a few others there. And our history with Graham goes many years back. He's always been extremely supportive with helping us with exotic vehicles for a lot of car shows that we do. And he and I had always had conversations about how we do something together in racing. But given our strong partnership with Team Penske, there's obviously a conflict of interest there in IndyCar. So Graham brought up, he owns a couple of Ducati dealerships, and he said, hey, Superbike wants the Rahal name in that industry. I can't think of a better partner than XPEL, and want to know if you guys have interest. And so that's where the conversation started. And it took us about a year and a half to figure it out, because when we look at partnerships, there's always an ROI component that we have to attach to it. And so the one that made the most sense was, given that they have about roughly, well, at the time I think it was closer to 20 rooftops, but it's 15 now, was some of our programs we have on the preload option. And so when I started discussing those with Bobby, he stopped me immediately and he said, Mike, 30 years I've owned dealerships. I never preload anything, and I never will. And as hard as it was to say, I said, well, Bobby, then we can't go racing together. I can't find any other pathway. And just as I say that now, it was over. And I finished my bottle of water, and out of his RV I went. About another 3 months goes by. We were back in Daytona. I think it was for the 24 hours. Maybe it's 4 months after that.
Okay.
And sat on his RV again. And I said, hey, I've got to have a commitment out of all your rooftops of preloading. And he said, I can't do that. He said, you've got to come up with something else. I said, fine. Give me 3 stores. Give me 90 days. Let me pilot this for you. And if I can make a believer out of you, there's our pathway. Let's do it. And he said, I'll tell you what. He said, you're going to have to convince our team, because they're the ones who run our stores, and they have for years. So he said, you will meet Eric Hessinger, and if you can convince him and his team that there's value here, he said, you got it. And a couple months later, he set it up. We flew out, and we had plans the next morning to sit down with him and his team, but we did dinner the night before and had a great dinner, and we just dove into everything right there. And at the end of the dinner, I'll never forget, Eric sat back and goes, well, I don't know what we're going to meet about tomorrow morning, because this all sounds good to me. But we still had the meeting with a little bit broader team of his.
Yeah.
Went great. We started our pilot. And I'll never forget, it was probably about a little over 3 months later at our it was probably 4 months at our announcement of Superbikes after that.
Yeah.
In California, Bobby and I sat down in the lobby of the hotel, and he said, Mike, I have to admit, we have learned something, and your programs work. He said, our customers love it. There's value there. And it provides additional segues into the F&I portions of additional sales of your product. He said, so good job to you and your team. We are believers in this.
Wow, you convinced Bobby Rahal to change his mind.
It wasn't easy.
First.
Yeah.
Well, if you can imagine, in racing, obviously funding racing is very important. Yeah. And Bobby comes to us all the time and say, hey, mate, do you ever consider this, or this? And, we've seen all sorts of things. And actually XPEL has really been the best option we've had out of anything that he's brought to us. We were very hesitant up front. We've never preloaded anything on a vehicle, because we really feel that there's got to be a customer value, and we don't want to force anything on a customer. But with the brands we sell, Mercedes, BMW, and after learning more about the product and how they could help us execute preloading the vehicles, we decided to do it. And looking back, our customers love it, and how much more we upsell from just a preload. We are very strategic in our preload, because we wanted to make sure it had value pricing, and wasn't forcing a lot of stuff on the client. But then they get to choose after they get the preload. So if they want to upgrade, if they want a full wrap or stealth wrap, or they want to do a full bumper or a full hood, we're able to upsell those. But the beauty for us was we didn't have to go out and hire the people. We didn't have to go out and take months to train people and then struggle and then have those leave and then come back. XPEL basically said that, we're going to do a turnkey for us. And that was really an interesting process.
Yeah.
And we couldn't have had a better experience on the rollout. I mean, because it's a challenge to find those people, to train them and get the quality that we demand that XPEL has met.
Right, absolutely.
So that was pretty interesting.
So what's offered in the preload? What's the package?
We have the door edge guards, the door handle guards.
Yeah.
We also have the 18 inches on the hood.
Okay.
So those are the things. But we offer everything. If someone wants to protect their screen or iPad screen in the car, or if they want to do the bumper sills, they could do that, or they could do the whole car.
Yep.
So we're really a la carte, because one of the reasons why we didn't want to preload is we felt that customers needed to be able to choose.
Sure.
So we gave them the basics, which really exposed them to a great product, and then we go from there.
Yeah. So Mike, from your side then, once Eric says, okay, let's try it, and you work together probably to develop this package, then how do you bring it to life? What happens on the XPEL side of the house?
It's great questions. Those next steps and it basically encompasses a broader team. And so, we have our dealership relationship support team that steps in, Richard Foley and his team in this case. And they did an incredible job of, coming to the table, understanding what some of the concerns were, what the objectives were, the packages that they wanted to look at. And then they bring in our installers that work for us, and they basically put them there at the store, and they start preloading these packages. I believe you guys went all in with our VIN scanning capabilities, our addendum package. There's a lot of value there, and I'm really excited, that the outcome, and looking back at where we started, and their patience with us as we talked through all these things.
Sure.
It really made it a winning success at the end.
Some of the interesting things are that you really don't think about is some of the marking materials that they have. We use DocuPad from Reynolds & Reynolds. Now they have those menus loaded, so it's all there to sell to a client, or actually present to a client, if you will, creating a laminate window sticker with an addendum that has these magnets that you can remove it while you're driving the vehicle. So thinking about all those little things in that customer presentation really fit well for us, especially with being in the highline business of Mercedes and BMW.
Right, absolutely. Do you want to speak a little bit about the addendum program, Mike?
It's really neat. We have an app. Our team can handle everything from soup to nuts. It is FTC compliant. Everything that is discussed with, for example, Eric and his team with pricing and products and so forth, all of those are pre-selected, and nothing can be installed in addition to that, which, again, we talk about the FTC compliant side, but also it makes sure that there aren't additional products being added that, Eric and his team do not want at the time, or maybe if they want to add things, they have the ability to go in afterwards and add those as well, so that when our installers show up, they know what exactly has been pre-selected that the vehicle needs to be equipped with.
And it was really interesting when we first started, because we had 300-400 cars on the ground that had to be preloaded.
Okay.
And we're trying to get this up and ramping right away. And they have the SWAT team. They have some of the coolest people that come from, I think they flew them in from Texas.
Okay.
These two girls, and they did such a wonderful job.
Yeah.
They could probably do, 50 cars a day, because they're so good at it. Wow. And the quality was there. And just to get all that up and running and then rolling that out, they came in and worked with our sales team and had meetings throughout the day to make sure that they could represent the product and sell it. And, one of the things that was really important is the salespeople, the last thing that wants to happen to them is be burned, right? They promise all this great stuff, they sell it, and then they have a problem with the delivery. Right. And so that execution by XPEL was really good. So it's pretty impressive.
Is that normal? Is that what XPEL could provide if another dealership was interested?
I firmly believe
team?
it is. Otherwise, I would not further my discussions down on the grid with opportunities that have dealerships involved.
Yeah.
But it's I was very, very proud of the results. Very proud of the success, and really appreciative of, the trust that Eric and his team put in us, because that's important to us.
I mean, there's moments, right? I mean, you do
Yes.
400 cars, you're going to have
Yeah.
a moment or two, but
Yeah.
if you look at it in the grand scheme, and then I think it's been like 20 months, and we had a full year last year, and what it added to our bottom line, it was close to $850,000 in XPEL gross,
That's incredible.
and the customers loved it.
Yeah.
And we actually did something probably a little bit different than most dealers, is we charged the sales department the retail price,
Okay.
because we didn't want them to discount that away. So every XPEL product that we sold actually hit the bottom line,
Okay.
and our grosses didn't change. So it was truly an additional, $300-400 a car that we made, because the sales department was charged the full price for it. So it was really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you found that, and you kind of hinted at it earlier, but I want to double check on this, that customers, once they've tried the product, either it's probably too new to know if they came back with their next vehicle and want more, or do they come back to look to add any or tell their friends about it?
No, they brought their other vehicles that we didn't even sell them.
Okay.
They said, "Hey, can you do this on my
Really?
vehicles?" Oh yeah.
That's
No,
interesting.
it's a great product.
Yeah, absolutely. So it sounded like then, to go back to this conversation with Bobby where we started, that this then helped fund the Superbike program. Is that correct?
Correct. That is correct.
So what is it? What is the Superbike program? What does XPEL sponsor?
So that we're with PJ Jacobson in Ducati, and for the past couple of years we ran in the sport bike class, and this year we're going to be in the Superbike class.
Okay.
Which that is the top tier. It's top tier with MotoGP.
Yep.
So we're really excited. What this year is going to look like, and Graham's actually expanded the sport bike category into 3 now instead of just 2. So
3 bikes.
yeah, three bikes, the sport bike, and then 1 in Superbike.
And you never know. Maybe sometimes they'll go IndyCar racing with us.
You never know what the future holds.
Don't let Roger.
We got to work
him
him over
Roger
a little
hear
bit.
that,
yeah, Roger probably wouldn't like that, but it'll be all right.
But he and Bobby can work it out.
It's funny you bring that up, because I love to pay compliments where they're due, and the entire RLL team, given our partnership that we have with Graham and Bobby, in the Superbike area, and then also with the Brad Group, when I am there at the racetrack and I go to the RLL hospitality, all of the leadership is very inviting. They bring me in. They continue to make introductions, and they also introduce me into two other dealership people, because they love to talk about the successful partnership that we have, even though it doesn't have anything to do with 4 wheels and IndyCar. It has to do with the B2B side of the business there. And they love to talk about it, and they say, hey, you talk about a great partner, something that brings value to your customer, value to your business. XPEL is that partner when it comes to that. And so it speaks volumes to me that, regardless of our association with Team Penske,
Yep.
we look at the business relationship that we have there and the value it brings to both of us. And it's a testimony to me to just the way Bobby and his leadership is, Eric is. Extremely incredible group of people, very, very nice, very supportive, and a great partner that we have in our business.
Well, if you can imagine, for 30 years, Bobby didn't want any preloads or anything added to a car on an addendum.
Right.
It was one of our DNA's core values.
Okay.
And then for us to try it, and then 20 months later, I'm here on a podcast promoting that we did this.
Right.
It's a culture change. But I have to tell you, it's been a great experience for us.
Yeah. How long have you been with the Rahal Group?
37 years.
Really?
Yeah, right out of college.
Out of college.
Yeah.
Where did you start?
In sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh?
In Harrisburg, where our other hub is.
okay.
And I was right out of college, didn't have a job. My dad sold Snap-on tools for a
Yeah.
living, and I went in and helped him, because Bobby built his first dealership. It was a Honda store in Harrisburg or Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and my dad sold a bunch of tools, and I went in, and our CEO, Ron Ferris, suckered me in being a car salesman. And 37 years,
Wow.
been
Yes.
with them. So
Yes.
couldn't ask for a better leader and a better mentor than Bobby Rahal.
No.
To me, running the dealerships is like my Indy 500. I want everything to be perfect. I want to win all the time, and I think I get those values from Bobby.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, have you talked to Bobby? I know you talk to him often, but about this and remind him that this is working. Preload can work.
Whenever I see him, I ask him how our business is. He says it's good, and I always say no news is good news.
Yep.
So if I see him at the track and shake his hand, we have small talk, and yeah, like Eric said, he's an incredible individual. He's just a great person. Him and Graham both.
But if you can imagine, Bobby comes to us all the time,
Yeah.
and says, "What can you do?" Because they're chasing dollars.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think XPEL has been probably our best partnership that we've ever had that's come from the race team.
Gotcha.
Because it's really added value to the dealerships. We're not just doing it for the race team.
Yeah.
It's actually been a huge benefit to our clients, but also monetarily to the dealership and being able to add such a great product.
Absolutely. What's Eric? What's next? Can you see something next with the Rahal Group and XPEL?
Well, I think we're going to have a great IndyCar season. We have Nick Schumacher that joined the team, and obviously Graham is ready to go. So it's really interesting. And we just acquired a BMW and Toyota store in State College.
Okay.
So we look to expand in our brand there and continue
Congratulations.
our path with XPEL. So
Yeah, fantastic. And Mike, either for the race team or the dealership side, what are you most excited about coming up here?
Just the continuation of the partnership and finding, additional channels where we can go deeper with our partnership. Graham and I, we talk all the time. We spoke yesterday, and I usually check with him to see if people like Eric are going to be here. And he said, Eric's there, reach out to him. He'd love to hear from you. And
Fantastic.
so it's, when I come here and I see the relationships that our team has formed with Eric, it makes me smile, because this is what it's all about, is truly the genuine relationships, which I've touched on before.
Yeah.
That's the most meaningful impact, is when you're working with people that think like-minded, they're cut from the same cloth. That's when all the magic happens.
Yeah.
And one of the things that people don't know about Graham is, obviously he's an IndyCar driver, but more so, and probably more so respected by me, is he's an entrepreneur. If you've been to his dealership, he has an exotic car dealership in Indianapolis, and if you've been there, it's second to none. He also has a wheelhouse social club where you can go in and see stacks of cars. They have these racks that are 4 or 5 high of all these exotic $3-4 million cars, and he's in that market. And obviously, he's a big XPEL dealer for all those, because those cars need that. But
Yep.
and then Ducati Racing
Yeah.
and his Ducati dealerships. I mean, he is really, he's going to carry us forward.
Yeah.
Whenever we all get tired.
Yeah.
But he's really a great businessman already, and he has so much on his plate. I don't know how he does it, but it's really amazing to watch Graham grow his business. And it really started with Rahal Paint Protection, and then it went more to the dealership, and then Ducati. So he has a lot of businesses, a lot of interest going.
on.
Yeah.
Season starting. He's got a lot on his plate.
Yeah.
He's probably the tallest IndyCar driver too, I would imagine.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is.
All right, Eric, thank you so much for being here. This
Yep.
was a lot of fun. I really appreciate
Great.
it. Do you still ski?
I do.
Yeah?
I do. Matter of fact, I'm leaving here. I'm going to Park City.
Nice.
We don't have
Nice.
They don't much snow,
right
but
now. I know. Sorry.
We're supposed to get dumped on in a couple days, so
All
we'll
right,
see what happens.
I hope so.
All right.
So that sounds great.
Thank you.
Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah,
Thank you, Eric.
enjoy NADA.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Sure.